Well, welcome to Authentic Leader Live. Hey, today we're talking about why your first time manager isn't listening to you. It's really the unfortunate reality that keeps you from reaching your managers on your team who really need the most help. First time managers realize that managing their team is very different from what they thought it would be. The Authentic Leader Show is the podcast for managers of managers as they transform their first time managers into authentic leaders of high performing teams. Now, of course, I talk a lot about first time managers because I wish that I knew what I know now when I was first promoted to a first time manager role. And it's really those fundamental basics of managing and leading my team that I just didn't realize I didn't know. Like me, your first time managers don't know what they don't know. As a manager of first time managers, I know that your first time managers are struggling with three things. Your first time managers, they don't know what they're doing wrong. There's something about what they're doing that's just not working for them. They haven't broken the code and they feel that it's necessary. They haven't really broken the code for what they feel is necessary for leading high performing teams. And of course, they want to prove to you that they are qualified for the role. And because of these three things, what I do know also is that you are scratching your head wondering, why is your first time manager, why are they not taking your advice or coaching? You can also see that they aren't figuring out on their own, or they're really spinning their wheels with maybe very little or not much progress at all. And you're looking for a way to help your first time manager to apply management principles to work with for their team and that really work for them too. Now, if you have been looking for a way to help your first time managers in any of these ways, and you've really been doing this for more than 3 months, then I know that you are giving advice and coaching while your first time manager continues to spin their wheels without much progress. So, just so you know, inside of the First Time Manager Summit, I teach about 7 disciplines. When your first time manager masters all 7 of these, you will see huge results, and in some cases, even immediate results. Now, of course, the one question that has not been answered yet is why aren't your first time managers taking your advice or coaching? Well, let me start with an illustration why your first time managers may not be taking your advice and coaching. And it's from when I was a lifeguard. One of the things that I did as a lifeguard was I gave swim lessons to kids, of course, who didn't know how to swim. And in the hot summer afternoon, as a lifeguard, I would witness some parents who were trying to teach their kids how to swim. Now, the parents, they really did their very best telling their kids what to do. They're demonstrating even what to do. They're watching their kids try and even then giving them feedback, so on and so forth, of course. And predictably, what happens is that most of these kids and these parents, they really grew frustrated because of the little progress that they were making, which of course is why the pool offered swim lessons. I discovered quickly that while I was giving swimming lessons, some of those parents, they would give side of the pool advice and feedback and encouragement, and really none of that helped. So I had to explain to the parents that they had to be up on the upper deck during the swim lessons. They couldn't be anywhere around the swim lessons when I was giving those. And once I did that, I could provide direction directly to the kids. Now, what was different in all of that? Well, some of these kids, they really needed to be disconnected from their parents to be successful. And in some cases, the kids wanted to show that they could do it as much as they couldn't listen. Now, in some cases, the kids wanted to show that they could do it so much that they just simply couldn't listen to their parents. It's something that really kind of happens in their brain, and rather they were really performing for their parents. They really needed that separation so that they could actually listen to and internalize the concepts, the styles, and even the message that I was teaching so that they could learn how to swim. Now, the same can be true for your first time manager. Of course, First-time managers are so happy to finally be promoted to a manager role. I know how excited I was when I was first promoted to a manager role. But in some cases, they're distracted from hearing your really good advice and coaching. All they want to do is to perform for you, of course, their boss, and demonstrate that they are fully qualified for the role. And lots of times, and many times, they aren't really yet qualified. They will be qualified and they will with some experience and skills, but they may just not have that yet. But they don't know that they need that, number one, and they don't know that that what they're trying to do is so obvious. So to take your advice and coaching is a form of admitting that they don't know what they're doing, and they don't want to do that for you. Your first time manager, they just don't want to admit that. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that your first time managers, they should just simply listen to you. And the reality is that sometimes they can't, and you don't know why, and even they don't know why. Of course, you could give them an ultimatum to just do what you say or else, but that only really gets you short term results. And what you're looking for is long lasting, effective manager of high performing teams, right? So, in my first minute role as a manager, I couldn't listen to my manager. I didn't know it then, but I later realized that I didn't feel qualified to be a manager, while at the same time I wanted so bad to be a manager. Taking advice from my boss, it made me feel inferior, and it only proved that I didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't want him to know that. This is exactly why I committed more than 25 years ago to learn all I could about what it takes to be an effective manager and leader. For almost a decade now, I have been helping managers of first time managers to transform their leaders into high leaders of high performing teams. If you have a first time manager who isn't taking your advice or coaching, don't be offended. They may feel obligated to prove to you that you've made a good choice. So maybe you did make a good choice. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. But before giving up, you need to know that you did all you could do to help them to be successful in their role. And if, quite frankly, we could put this into business objective decision making. Quite honestly, it's easier and much less expensive to help your first time manager to be successful rather than the time, effort, and expense of starting all over again, only on the other side of hiring another manager and all over again with another first time manager. If you would like help, this February, a small group of first time managers are working with me in a 2-day summit for first time managers. It's a fast track program to help these first time managers to acquire the tools, systems, and frameworks to lead high performing teams. These same managers walk out of the summit with their management and leadership plan that they will implement over the next 12 months, in addition to experiences, exercises, and books that they will then take back to their team. If you'd like to see if your first time manager is a good fit for this summit, you can learn more at AuthenticSuccessOnline.com. Now, if you can relate to anything that I shared here today, or if you would like to ask me questions, I'd love to talk to you. You can put a comment right here and I'll respond. You can also DM me or reach out to me through my LinkedIn profile. Not all first time managers are a fit for this summit, quite frankly. To find out if your first time manager is a fit, you can go to AuthenticSuccessOnline.com. With only 10 participants, you'll want to be you'll want to get your first time manager's name on this list sooner than later, like today. We've already got people registering for the program, so we actually have less than 10 now. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me at LinkedIn at I am Christopher Jones. You can find more information and other free resources when you go to ChristopherRJones.com. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us today. Please come back next week for another episode. Next week, we'll have another Authentic Leader Live right here on my LinkedIn and YouTube channel.